For the last 3 years, the question the Who's fans were asking was, where are they? The loudest rock and roll band in the world was silent and missing from the concert stage. Its individual members pursued their own careers of writing, recording and acting. Collectively, they put their money into films and recorded an album. It was suggested the Who were finished, that they couldn't overcome a reluctance by Pete Townsend, their guitarist, and the man responsible for most of their music during the past 15 years, ever to play on stage again. But at the beginning of May, the band moved into London's Rainbow Theatre to begin rehearsals. The Who began to make the sounds of a comeback. One of their major reasons was their desire to do some concerts again to promote 2 of their films which were being shown at the Cannes Film Festival. The band went to Cannes to give 2 performances, but there was another, more fundamental reason: the death of their former drummer, Keith Moon.
And I think each of us in the group reacted in the same way. We weren't consumed with grief. But we did feel like we'd lost a leg, in a way. None of us wanted Keith's death to be pointless, which is one of the reasons we decided to carry on rather than stop. Strangely enough, about 2 or 3 months before his death, I think finally gotten to the point where I'd seriously decided to stop all work in the group. We went to Shepperton and we went to the old house, which he'd loved so much, and he'd done so much work publicising and all that, and spent so much time there, made it his job to be there. And we just all looked at one another and thought, we can't possibly stop now,
In a way, then, did Keith's dying bring the group back together again as a performing band?
Yeah, I think it did. Useful bugger, wasn't he?
The man the Who picked to put them back on the road was ex-Small Faces drummer Kenney Jones. Jones hasn't the wildness of Moon, but he's widely regarded as a musician, and the Who felt he would add to their sound.
You, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Can you bring your lights up?
How do you feel about taking Keith's place?
Well, I'm not. Simple as that. I mean, I'm just sort of playing with you now. I don't feel like I'm taking his place, because nobody could take Keith Moon's place. He's such a personality anyway, I couldn't even compete with that, and I don't want to. I'm me,
Yeah.
That's it. That's Keith, you see.
But, I miss him all the time. I mean, it's taken a lot of getting over that one. I still can't articulate very well on how I feel. I don't give a toss about so many things either now, I really don't. I used to be a bit over-serious before. I really, I've got a much more optimistic view about what's going on, and I don't worry about so many things. Because he was the man who literally didn't worry about a damn thing. And I think he showed us all how to live, because he had 18 lives in that short life he had,
Maybe I think I'm possibly a lot freer playing with Kenney than I was with Keith, because he did tie you down to what he wanted to play and the rhythms he wanted to play.
When the Rainbow's box office opened, the 3,200 seats were sold within 45 minutes, and even the critics had to buy black market tickets.
It cost us £15, which is 3 times the asking price, the value price. That's a standing ticket, and I've no idea what I'm going to see once I get in there. It's probably just on the people's heads.
Outside the Rainbow to welcome the Who back were the mods, the people who back in the 60s more than anyone identified with the group. The ones outside the Rainbow looked as if they were the children of the band's original followers.
I can play the guitar now. I don't need to hit people around the head with it. I can actually do it properly. I don't know. Obviously, you're as young as you feel and all that. Let's just say that some days I feel young and some days I feel old.
But these days, they're a lot more restrained. They're more mature, and the volume is turned down. Well, a little anyway.
We're trying to play a bit quieter on the stage now. I have got very severe problem. In fact, I went to a doctor who... I took Bill Kerbershire, manager, who wouldn't believe me, to the doctor with me, and the doctor actually said, well, you're not actually going deaf, but I would advise you to learn to lip read.
All the other people who play in the band, why haven't their hearing been affected?
I don't know. I think Roger's has, and Keith's hearing has been affected, and our sound man hearing has been affected. You can tell, actually.
The Who have become a multi-million-pound corporation. Their business empire is based here at Shepperton Studios, where their trucking, laser and sound equipment businesses are housed. They're also backing another film about the life of bank robber turned sociologist John McVicker, with Roger Daltrey playing the lead role.
It interests me because I see a lot of myself there in the macho man, and
I mean, this man was a criminal.
He robbed a few banks. I mean, it was just the need for bread, I suppose, to support this incredible ego that he had. I was fortunate I found rock and roll, and it fed my ego enough to keep me out of that environment. But I also had a lot of friends who also went out and robbed banks, you know. I'm sure you have.
Well, I don't know about that.
If you've got no money and you're not a footballer and, you know, you don't want to work in a factory and join the average kind of run-of-the-mill life, then most people tend to end up criminals, you know. And I think it's rock and roll definitely saved me from going that way, because I'm sure just the environment I was in, you know. So I do see a kind of similarity there. It's a wonderful story.
During the last few years, The Who's other interests have diversified so much that people have been wondering whether they're musicians or businessmen.
I mean, first and foremost, we are a rock and roll band. I mean, that's what it is all about to me. I mean, all the rest of it is great, as long as we're still a rock and roll band. So that's the most important thing. But, I mean, we are involved in films on the production side. We're involved in the kind of trucking side of the industry, the actual presentation of a show side of it. We're very heavily involved in holography, which is...
Lasers.
Yeah, which again will come back to film, hopefully in the future. I mean, the possibilities there are endless.
Light shows
Well, I think the light show side of it is... I think that's reached its peak. I mean, we did that 3 years ago, and there's not a lot more you can do in that side of it, but holography, I think, will be the first kind of three-dimensional film, and I mean, I don't think it... I think it's in the foreseeable future, you know, and that's what we're working towards. I think it's going to be amazing. We are passionately in love with our industry, and we've put most of our money that we've earned, and we've earned a lot of money, I'm not denying that, into our industry, and we run it, and I suppose we are businessmen in that sense.
How much money are you worth?
I've got no idea.
I mean, the band.
I don't know. We're going to have to find out, because Keith Moon's share has got to be valued, so sooner or later we'll know.
People walk up to you in the street and say, when are you going to do another concert, when are you doing another tour? So people don't forget you. It's pretty hard after pumping 70,000 watts into their ears.
It's much more than just the four people in the band. It's the audience, it's the people that are working for you, that, you know. And you don't get that if you're just making records. You just don't get it.
And if films are well made, then they can hopefully touch you to some extent in the way that a good rock concert does. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to, you know, enlarge our audience, or maybe even just begin to reach our audience, the audience that's there.
But I intend to carry on playing until I lose a hand or I get crippled by arthritis. You know. Weeks are cheap nowadays.
Roger and John would like to tour forever. They'd like to tour when they were 60.
Madmen. They're madmen. Pair of them. I know them very well. I can tell you from experience, they're both bloody balmy.